He wasn't the coolest. He wasn't the most handsome. But Robin Williams was the man who could make the world laugh and cry in the same breath. From manic stand-up genius to soulful screen legend, he redefined what it meant to be a performer. But behind the comedy was a battle few ever saw coming. This is the real story of Robin Williams, the whirlwind, the father, the fragile soul. Stick around because what starts as a comedy icon's rise becomes one of the most heartbreaking and human stories Hollywood has ever known. You think you know Robin Williams? Think again. Chapter 1. The Quiet Boy with a Loud Mind. Robin McLaurin Williams wasn't born with a spotlight over his head. He was born with a storm inside his mind. On July 21st, 1951, in Chicago, Illinois, Robin entered the world as the only child of Robert Williams, a senior executive at Ford Motor Company, and Lori McLaurin, a former model and socialite. Outwardly, the Williams family lived a life of privilege, sprawling homes, private schools, and polished dinners. But behind the manicured lawns and dinner parties was a boy often left to his own devices. His father, distant and buttoned up, was a provider but rarely a presence. His mother, charming and quick-witted, offered glimpses of warmth. But Robin often found himself alone. And in that silence, his imagination ignited. "I created entire worlds just to not feel alone," Robin once said. "If I could make the voices come alive, maybe I wouldn't feel so invisible." He wasn't the kid in the center of the room. He wasn't cracking jokes in class. Instead, he was quiet, observant, a mimic in training. He studied people, their accents, their mannerisms. He learned that if he could understand how someone moved, how they spoke, he could become them. By high school, after the family relocated to the affluent Detroit suburb of Bloomfield Hills, Robin found refuge in the school's theater program. He joined the debate team, excelled in drama, and earned the admiration of teachers who saw a fire beneath the quiet exterior. "He wasn't loud, but he burned bright," one recalled. "He was like a fuse waiting to be lit." Yet for all his talent, Robin still doubted himself. Despite being voted most likely not to succeed in jest, the label stung. He wasn't sure who he was yet, but he knew he could make people feel. And that would become his life's work. After high school, he enrolled at Claremont Men's College in California to study political science, perhaps to follow in his father's footsteps. But lectures and policy couldn't contain his mind. He dropped out and pivoted to acting, eventually landing at Juilliard in New York, one of the most prestigious performing arts schools in the world. There, he studied under legendary teacher John Houseman and alongside classmates like Christopher Reeve. While most students rehearsed scenes with careful technique, Robin detonated into performances. He wasn't just acting, he was exploding. Characters, voices, full-blown sketches appeared spontaneously. Houseman, rarely effusive, told Robin, "There is nothing we can teach you. You've already found it." Chapter 2. Mork from Out of Nowhere. After Juilliard, Robin headed west to San Francisco, then Los Angeles, ready to chase fame, but still just scraping by. The clubs were brutal. Competition was fierce. But when Robin took the mic, something shifted in the room. His stand-up wasn't traditional. It was chaos. He didn't tell jokes. He embodied them. One moment, he was a Shakespearean king. The next, a horny Frenchman. Then a caffeine-fueled house cat. The audience couldn't keep up, and they didn't want to. It was jazz, speedball comedy, 100 characters in 5 minutes, accents pinging off the walls. And always, that glint in his eye. Playful, mischievous, electric. By 1977, Hollywood took notice. His first major TV appearance came on an episode of Happy Days, where he played an alien named Mork from the planet Ork. The bit was meant to be throwaway, a one-off gag in a show about 1950s teens. But Robin improvised so brilliantly, upending scripts, making up lines, hanging upside down, riffing until the cameras stopped, that producers saw something rare. ABC greenlit Mork and Mindy, and just like that, Robin Williams went from cult comic to primetime superstar. Dressed in rainbow suspenders talking to his egg-shaped spaceship, Robin delivered a kind of comedy America had never seen before. Every episode was a playground. Directors gave up trying to control him, they just let the cameras roll. What viewers didn't see was the cost. Robin's energy came from a deep, anxious need to please. Off camera, the silence grew deafening. Fame hit like a tidal wave. He was suddenly everywhere, on magazine covers, late-night shows, billboards, and with that spotlight came pressure. To be on all the time. To be the funniest man in every room. During this era, Robin fell into cocaine, a drug that seemed to match his pace. It made me feel less alone, he admitted. It numbed the fear. But it was a dangerous illusion. Beneath the manic highs and ovation-filled nights was a man quietly unraveling. Yet his star only rose. He landed roles in Popeye, 1980, The World, according to Garp, 1982, and Moscow on the Hudson, 1984. Each role showed a new side, less zany, more human. Robin wanted to prove he wasn't just a funny man. He wanted to be real. But it would take tragedy and fatherhood to show the world just how deep his soul really ran. Chapter 3. The Darkness Behind the Light. By the late 1980s, Robin had become an A-list movie star. He was beloved, bankable, and seemingly unstoppable. But even as audiences adored him, he was at war with himself. His lifelong battle with addiction resurfaced after the death of his friend John Belushi, just hours after Robin had visited him. The tragedy wasn't just a wake-up call. It was a scar. "I felt like if I kept going down that road, I'd be next," he once said. Robin checked into rehab. He got clean. He doubled down on work. Films like Dead Poet Society, Awakenings, and The Fisher King allowed him to channel his pain into art. He became a father, too. First to Zachary, and later to Zelda and Cody with his second wife, Marcia Garces. Fatherhood was his anchor. He described it as the most important role of his life. Still, the shadow never fully disappeared. In 2006, after nearly 2 decades of sobriety, Robin relapsed into alcohol. Quietly at first, drinks on the road, moments of isolation. But it escalated. He checked himself into a rehab facility in Oregon, telling fans, "It's not caused by anything, it's just there. It waits." He later opened up about the relapse with trademark honesty. "It's the little voice inside you that says, 'Just one drink.' That voice is a liar," he told Diane Sawyer. Robin used humor as a shield, but never as a way to deceive. He didn't want to be seen as perfect. He wanted to be understood. Despite his inner battles, Robin was constantly giving. He was famous for spontaneous generosity, writing checks to hospital patients, visiting sick children in costume, and lifting up anyone who looked like they needed it. During one film shoot, a young assistant confided in him about her student loan debt. A few weeks later, it was mysteriously paid off. He even included a clause in his movie contracts requiring producers to hire homeless people as crew, not for press, not for headlines, just because he believed in dignity for everyone. This impulse to help wasn't separate from his pain, it was because of it. Robin knew darkness intimately, so he made it his mission to shine light for others. Every act of kindness was a way to battle his own demons. Giving was a lifeline, but even as he gave to others, he struggled to give himself the same care. Friends say he was happiest surrounded by people but loneliest in quiet moments. He feared irrelevance. He feared not being able to bring joy anymore. Stand-up gigs, film shoots, voice acting, charity galas. He kept moving. Constant motion was his safety net. But the silence afterward? That was the hardest part. Robin's mind, so fast and bright, never slowed. And when it did, the weight of doubt crept in. It was a slow burn, an internal tug-of-war between brilliance and self-worth. Robin often said comedy was a way to cope, not to escape. But even the strongest coping tools wear thin over time, until a single role brought it all into sharp relief. Chapter 4. The Soul of Goodwill Hunting. When Robin Williams stepped into the role of Sean Maguire in Goodwill Hunting, 1997, he didn't just act. He opened a wound. Sean was a grieving therapist, a man who had lost the love of his life and used compassion as a compass. Robin understood that grief. He carried it. From the moment he appears on screen, Robin's performance is grounded, quiet, and deeply human. He doesn't dominate the scenes. He listens. He breathes. He connects. His chemistry with Matt Damon felt real because it was. He treated Damon not as a co-star, but as a student, a mirror to his own younger self. And then, there's the scene. Sean telling Will about his late wife farting in her sleep. It was improvised. Entirely. Damon's laughter, unscripted. The crew laughed. They cried. Because in that moment, Robin wasn't acting. He was remembering. That performance earned him his only Oscar. But awards weren't the point. The real triumph was that audiences saw him, not the comic, not the voice of the genie, but a man with heartache in his eyes and truth in his voice. "Your move, Chief!" Those 3 words at the end of the film weren't just for Will. They were for us. A reminder to show up, to care, to live fully, scars and all. Chapter 5. The Final Curtain and the Hidden War. As the 2010s began, Robin's spark began to dim, subtly then rapidly. Friends, co-stars, and fans noticed it. He still lit up a room, but the light flickered faster. He fumbled lines, forgot cues. His timing, once his most powerful weapon, was off. Something was wrong. Robin was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2014. At least that was the initial diagnosis. But even that didn't explain everything. The tremors were new, yes, but so were terrifying hallucinations, confusion, emotional outbursts, waves of paranoia. A man who once embodied control on stage now feared losing his mind. Despite it all, he kept working. He filmed Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb, often needing multiple takes just to complete a simple line. Friends say he cried between scenes, desperate and confused. His final TV appearance in The Crazy Ones showed glimmers of his old brilliance, but also revealed an actor deeply struggling behind the scenes. Robin knew he was slipping, and he couldn't stop it. In his final months, he was reportedly racked with fear that he was going insane. His wife Susan later said, "He knew there was something deeply wrong, but the answers never came." On August 11th, 2014, the world was gutted. Robin Williams had died by suicide. The autopsy revealed the truth. Robin had been suffering from Lewy body dementia, LBD, a brutal, fast-progressing neurological disorder that mimics Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and schizophrenia all at once. His brain was overwhelmed. His body was failing. He was trapped in a reality he could no longer navigate. One of the doctors who reviewed his brain called it one of the worst LBD cases they had ever seen. Robin didn't take his life out of despair. He took it because the disease was already stealing it from him. It wasn't weakness. It was agony. Chapter 6. A Legacy That Lingers. Robin Williams didn't just make movies. He made memories. He gave us characters that didn't just entertain. They healed. The genie in Aladdin wasn't just funny, he was liberating. Mrs. Doubtfire wasn't just silly. She was love in disguise. And in Goodwill Hunting, Robin wasn't acting. He was telling us it's okay to break, to cry, to forgive ourselves. But Robin's legacy extends far beyond the screen. He performed 13 USO tours for American troops, often flying into dangerous territories to bring laughter to soldiers. He supported homeless shelters. He gave quietly, writing checks, showing up, changing lives without ever chasing headlines. Even in his final years, Robin supported countless charities for mental health, addiction recovery, and children's hospitals. He knew what it felt like to hurt, so he made it his mission to help others feel less alone. After his death, his widow Susan became a fierce advocate for Lewy body dementia awareness. Her documentary, Robin's Wish, not only explains the disease that took him, but honors the man behind the smile, the man who kept fighting even as everything he knew unraveled. Robin didn't die from drugs, but others have. Amy Winehouse, Chester Bennington, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Mac Miller, Whitney Houston, all artists, all wounded, all gone too soon. Different paths, same outcome. Pain, left untreated, always finds its way out. So here's what we can learn. You don't have to be on all the time. Your mind deserves as much care as your body. There's strength in asking for help. Robin once said, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about." Be kind, always. Let's remember that, for others, and for ourselves. If Robin ever made you laugh, or cry, or feel something real, drop your favorite Robin Williams moment in the comments. Like this video, it helps others discover stories that matter. Subscribe for more untold stories of Hollywood legends. Thank you, Robin, for the voices, the vulnerability, the spark of madness we'll never forget. You're only given a little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it. Robin Williams.